DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We are joined now by David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz. David, good morning.
It's a Friday, DJ PK. My life is complete. I talk to my buddies, my longtime friends. It's probably a statement of my life that I think you use close friends when you have to talk to me and it's obligated. And yeah, okay, never mind. No, it's too deep.
Wow.
Not true. I've sought out you many times when I didn't have to because I wanted to.
That's nice of you. Thank you, PK.
That's
wow.
true.
What does it mean about my life that PK is my uplifting part right now?
I
Wow,
valued
awesome.
your input on some important topics.
Well, I value you too, my friend. What do we do with David, though?
Just ignore me.
Okay.
Yeah. I value your opinion, especially around this time of year. I know you love to get into the trade deadline. You talk to people. You get to be in NBA arenas and talk to people before games when they can really say what they're thinking with no cameras or microphones around. And I'm reading a bunch of stuff now, and I thought this week when I was reading it, should I even be wasting my valuable time reading this, or should I just take a nap? Because everything seems to be couched in, but it's going to be really hard with the salary cap, luxury tax, second apron, blah, blah, blah. And I think you've told us that multiple times. So is this trade deadline going to pass without any real news, either for the Jazz or around the NBA, even the whole Jimmy Butler saga?
No, I mean, I think there'll be real news, but I do think it's hard to make deals. I think the collective bargaining agreement is having some unintended consequences, one of which is dampening the trade market, but dampening the trade market because the Phoenixes, Milwaukee's, Denvers, who are, tight on these aprons or actually in them, it's so difficult for them to make a deal that it almost takes them out of the market or limits the amount of things. So you just don't have as many suitors for players. Like, we could play a fun game right now. I don't know if it'd be that fun. But we just start listing players that we've heard are available, right? So, like, I go first and I say Jeremy Grant, and you say Anthony Simons, and someone else says Zach LaVine, and then somebody else says John Collins, and then somebody else says Jordan Clarkson, and then somebody else says Cameron Johnson, and we just kind of run down the list, and we'd end up with naming 15 to 17 players right now that have all been mentioned as possibilities of becoming available by the trade deadline. And I would ask you, are any of them different than any other? Like, if somebody's trying to make a trade and needs a scoring guard and they end up with Anthony Simons or Colin Sexton, is that different?
What do you mean by different?
They have a much better chance to win title.
Oh, okay.
Last year, you get Colin Sexton or Anthony Simons. Like, if any player of those, 17 players that are being mentioned to be available move the meter more than any of the others to winning a playoff series?
Well, I guess I'd have to see where they go, but on their own merit, probably not. But,
Okay.
what is – I mean, the
Right.
Hornacek trade greatly enhanced the Jazz, and he came from a losing team.
Right, but he was all star, pretty good player.
Right, but not with Philadelphia
Yeah, right.
in terms of winning and losing.
But so, okay, work with yes, there is a chance that one of these players could go to a team. It's a particularly good fit, really prosper. But on the surface at this moment, I don't think there's a really big dramatic difference from one guy to the other. Can we kind of all agree on that?
I think Kessler could really help what the Lakers are trying to do.
Okay, I don't think Walker Kessler's going to the Lakers unless they're trading their 2031 first-round draft pick.
Well, if they trade Kessler, the kitchen sink better be included.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so of the players I think are movable, I think there's a huge difference. The first part of this, which was the limited amount of in trades right now.
Hey, David, you're breaking up. You're breaking up pretty badly. Can you go stand near a window or something? You're breaking up pretty badly.
Is this better right now?
That's better.
Sorry, must have been just in like a weird spot. I was sitting. I sat down and stopped moving. I'll go back to moving. I'm much more comfortable doing that.
That is a sacrifice, we realize.
For you.
Wow, I was actually trying to be super good right there and like really focus and sit down and not be moving bags and doing all the other stuff. I was like, heck with it. We're going back to moving bags. So you couple what I said about Denver, Milwaukee, and those teams that they're not as flexible or able to make deals. And now all of a sudden you have 13, 14 players that are all really similar that are on the market. It just feels like you're just not going to get much for a guy, right? Like I call up the Jazz and I say, hey, I really want John Collins. And Justin says, great. He's been incredible. He's almost 50, 40, 90. We'll take a first. And they're like, yeah, no, we're not giving a first. And Justin's like, well, I need a first. Well, then that same team then picks up the phone and calls any of the next 7 teams that have a player available and finds which one's willing to give up a player without giving up a first-round pick. It just feels like the market is not yielding to anyone getting a lot for these players. So there's going to be activity. Players are going to move, but I don't think you're going to see great yield for those players. But there's still going to be activity, and players are going to move.
Right. I mean, we usually do that. When we see that, we usually see that every year. So I would think that there would be, what you're saying is exactly the truth. So back to Kessler, if they include that unprotected, would you do it?
Whew. I mean, to some extent, at that point, you're just drafting the player that's going to replace Walker. You're just at 20. If you trade Walker, at some point, you're just drafting, looking for a 7-footer that can protect the rim. So, obviously, I talked to Justin this week. He just traded for a 2031 unprotected pick. There's really a big belief in the league that, or at least from Justin, that unprotected picks are gold. You can't find them. People don't give them up. To have them as your own asset in the trade market is really incredible.
Right.
So I guess you'd have to consider it. I think Walker, I think Walker's a piece, not like a piece, like a piece like a top 10 or top 20 player in the NBA piece of this thing when it all comes together, but he's a piece of it.
No question.
He's really good.
His skill set is very valuable and integral to winning teams.
And really hard to find. Hard to find. So, I got asked today on I do Friday, I do kind of, a listener question. And one of the questions was is Walker available? Yeah, Walker's available. Luka, Walker's available. Walker's available. Because there's only one player in the entire NBA who's not available right now. And that's Victor. If San Antonio called Denver and said, we'll send you Victor for Nikola, they say yes, right? Denver says yes, right?
That's a tough one. I get your point.
Oh, if you're going by age, then yes.
Yeah, and the youth helps.
So I'm of a believer that there's one player in the NBA that's not available. So is Walker available? Sure. Do I think pulling Walker from the Jazz right now? My quick reaction is I need more than 2031 unprotected.
Yeah, fine.
I already got.
Yeah.
If I'm drafting today in an NBA draft and I want to make sure that I'm going to get a elite rim defender, best offensive rebounder in the NBA, 25-minute-a-night player.
Yeah.
Don't I have to be drafting top 8?
No, I'm with you. So I said the kitchen sink
I
better be included.
I think I would need more than an unprotected pick for Walker at this point.
I think there's 2 players that are not tradable, Wembanyama and Cooper Flagg.
That was I'll be honest, a question I didn't answer was how many first-round picks would you trade for Cooper Flagg? I haven't seen enough of him be able to answer that question and answer it correctly. But, I do remember the thought, when Victor came out, that you couldn't have actually traded. You couldn't have actually traded. There wasn't a roster that you could put together every player on the roster and get San Antonio to give up that number one pick.
Maybe the West All-Star starters.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's literally what you're talking about. Like, and obviously the salary cap can't do that. So,
Right.
I think that's it's kind of a crazy, but that is a little bit of what we're talking about here. It's like, yeah, I mean, Cooper Flag looks like he's really good.
Yes. And he didn't turn 18 until last month.
No, and let's not kid ourselves. He's an American. Like, it matters. And if you want to take the next step, he's a white American.
He would be
We haven't
the
had an
first,
American.
first white American drafted first since Kent Benson.
Yeah, right. It's sad that matters, but I don't know why it matters, but it matters. Like, what does it matter for? I don't know. Marketing, I guess, not basketball.
Well, you only need to look at Caitlin Clark.
Right. No, I mean, the league, I feel like on the whole discussion of the league, of where the league is right now, I do think a little bit of what's going on is that we're fatigued. We have LeBron and Steph fatigue. We've seen enough. And they're not as good as they once were. So we've watched this for 20 years, and they're not as good as they once were. And then every other star is foreign. So let's ignore the race for a second and just say that you're getting an American. Like, Jason Tatum's the best American. Donovan's probably the second best.
The Canadians, you don't count? And most of them played college ball here.
Like Shea,
yeah.
Shea, right?
He's the guy.
I mean, Shea went to high school in West Virginia, so yeah, probably. I don't know.
But
that's a good point.
It's a very small market.
Yeah, I don't know. I have not. And honestly, it's like maybe that's garbage because it's not as though American fans have had a hard time embracing Giannis or Luka or seem to be having a hard time with Victor. John Morant goes into this conversation too. John Morant's actually the one that actually tipped me to the thing. I thought the immediate attachment of John Morant was quick, but maybe that's just because he can actually fly, and so that's really freaking cool when someone can actually fly. I don't know. It's interesting. I do think that, but that's my just general take on the league a little bit right now is that we're in the same post-Jordan transition than we were with Iverson and some of those guys when the league kind of scuffled for a little bit for, I think, everyone trying to find their bearings of who they're following. I don't buy some of the, I certainly don't think the TV ratings are the answer to how you should be judging a league, but I do feel like there's just that issue. But anyway, that's a side note.
I think that makes sense the more I think about it here, as you just brought it up.
Yeah. But yeah, Cooper Flag's really good. He's 18 years old. He's great. Be super fun if he decided to help us with 14% chance and get him in Utah. That'd be awesome.
Amen.
I mean, seriously, awesome. Wow. I mean, that's what's crazy about this is this is not that much, right? This is not that much fun for Jazz fans. I got it. Hey, let's talk about development over wins. Woohoo! Hey, we developed tonight. I got it. There's nothing. It's not fun for anyone, frankly. But boy, you dangle that carrot out there of I get to call 82 games of Cooper Flag next year, and it's oh, okay.
Yep.
And everybody, the word, if you want the number one murmur around the league right now, when I'm talking to scouts and GM, it's all about 2026, frankly. They're all going out right now to see the high school seniors, and they're just coming back talking about it's better than the 2025 draft.
And that makes me think that there's one more year of this for Jazz fans with a top 8 protected pick next year.
Yeah. With the top 8 protected pick. That's the number one line you need right there. Yes. Yep. But also, the logical starting lineup next year for the Jazz is probably something on the line of Isaiah Collier, Keontae George, Cooper Flag, Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler, with a bench of draft pick, Cody Williams, Taylor Hendricks, draft pick.
Will there be enough salaries coming off the books this summer that the trade market opens up? Because obviously we know Markkanen can't be traded until the summer. There's already talk about Collins because he's shooting the lights out and everybody wants shooting. Is it as difficult as it might be to move a salary now? Does it get a lot easier in the summer?
Well, I actually think that the chances are in this trade deadline or at the next trade window, which is the offseason, that the Jazz would bring salary on. Right? That, like, if you go, the deals that are going to win, assuming Oklahoma City does not win the title this year, the deals that are going to win Oklahoma City the title are their deal with Philadelphia, where they took Al Horford and Danny Green's salary, and now are going to get a top 10 pick that they add to an already great team. And they have a bunch of those that are all lined up to come together. So I would suspect that if anything, we see the Jazz take on somebody else's bad contract for a future pick and eats that contract for, to be able to pay for that, to get making it worth getting that pick. So that's where I think the trade market opens up for the Jazz. But I actually think it's a year from now because Colin's got another year, Jordan's got another year, and John has a player option.
All right, we got to run. We got Aaron Roderick, BYU offensive coordinator, coming up next, David, so we got to stay on time. You're the man,
All
though.
right. See you guys.
Thank you. David Locke, radio voice of the Jazz. A-Rod's coming up next right here on The Zone.
This is Jake Scott and